my miners of intelligence and consciousness. I'm Rick Brooks, and this is Rick's Mind. Today with me, I have the legend, Bill Gillespie, world record bench holder, NFL player, strength coach. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be on your show.
Bill, you've lived a wild life, and I'm obsessed with excellence, and I'm obsessed with people that have drive, because I'd like to think of myself as that type of person, but you actually done it. You've lived the dream, and I want to know kind of, have you always been this way? Have you always had this drive? Like, I mean, you made it to the NFL. Was that when you were a kid? Is that what you wanted to do, or is this something that just you kind of fell into?
Well, I always dreamed of being able to work with elite athletes. And so after working at the University of Washington, it opened up for me to go to the Seattle Seahawks. And so I love being around men of similar passion, drive. And one of the outliers about the NFL players is the fact that everybody assumes they're there because they're just talented. But the fact is that most of them are there because they're extremely competitive. And I remember there was a day in that weight room where $200 wouldn't bet on something, push up, pull up, who knows? It was crazy, but they just had to compete. They just had to. Remind me of a hunting dog, a dog that was bred to hunt. That dog's got to hunt, and that's what these guys, man, these guys got to compete. And that's one of the reasons why they raised to the level that they did. And they're not afraid to lose. They just want the opportunity to compete. And I see so many people afraid of failure, and it's inhibiting them to compete, and they never know what they're truly capable of becoming.
I couldn't agree with you more. I find that, in my life too, fear it's the worst possible thing for humanity and people. It paralyzes you, and it keeps you stuck. You stay in the same place. I loathe comfort. I think it's one of the most dangerous things. Like, we all live very, very comfortable lives, and if you continue to live a comfortable, like, sedentary life, there's a whole list of diseases associated with that. So I'm 100% with you in that, and being around that and inspiring that, like, it must have been a fantastic, a fantastic job. So one job that you couldn't wait to get to, I would assume.
Yes. I loved working with elite athletes. I love that opportunity. When I didn't get the opportunity to work with the elite, it was frustrating at times because they pretend to be elite. They fake it like they're elite, but they're faking it because they are afraid to compete. Many times, not always, but many times. And it'd be easy as a strength coach to correct these problems physically if the athlete would believe in themselves to take the step out, come out of their comfort zone, and go and try to do the things that they need to do to become who they should be. But they're so afraid of failure that so many times they won't come out of their comfort zone, or they question the value of the hard work that it's going to take to get there, because deep down inside, they don't believe in themselves. And so you first have to go and address that when you're working with these athletes and selling them on the idea, listen, you've got to believe in yourself. And what they always do is they always look at the seniors who are so successful, and they think, well, that guy was just that way. He came here that way. And you're like, no, he was just like you. And just like myself, I came out of college. I benched for 10 years at that point, and I went to the first drug-free nationals. I benched 341 pounds. I sucked at the bench press. All right. For a competitive lifter, I was not gifted. At the age of 35, around there, 34, 35. My bench was stuck around 440, 450. And people would say, well, many people told me that's as good as you're ever going to get. And, I heard that so many times in my life, how I should quit. I should quit. You've done everything you could achieve. I benched 639, and everybody told me, you're never going to bench anymore. You should stop. I benched 700. They told me to stop. You're never going to do anymore. And my grandmother took me aside and told me, don't you ever stop competing. This is who you are. And I don't want to hear from you that you're going to quit. And, and when you're little tiny, 5'2", little grandma's up in your face going, hey, let's get it going, And deep down, you've seen how tough she is. You just go, man, all right, grandma, hey, I'll keep it going. And I think my mom picked up that determination from my grandmother, and I picked it up from my mother. And I've always been a very determined individual. In high school, I lost a wrestling match I should have never lost. I'm at the school dance that night, and I'm disgusted with myself. And I know it was my fault. And, this is back in the late 70s, so excuse the dress code back then. But, we were a disco there, with the platform shoes and the bell-bottom pants,
Oh yeah.
And I'm really stating my age right now. It's but I'm sitting there at that dance and I'm thinking, I'll never be that guy ever again. I'll never be that guy ever again. I'm never going to go into a competition not ready. And I walked out of that dance and I started running home. Now you got to know that I hate running, but even when I was lean, I still hated running. Any kind of distance, couldn't do it. Sprints, I was pretty good at, but distance, can't do it. And I started running, and when it hurt, I told myself, you're going to run even faster. And when it hurt even more, I'm going to run even faster. You're running with these platform shoes, and yeah, it hurt. Probably wasn't good for me. But you know what? I determined in my mind at that point in time, I will never, ever lose again. Because of my lack of preparation. And I had a lot of setbacks. I don't know if you know, but I attempted the world record 20 times in 7 different meets and missed every single one of them. And people were telling me, quit. People very close to me, quit. You're never going to do it. You're 62 years old. You've tried. You've done everything that you can. Your health is falling apart. Give up and take care of your life. And I'm like, I was determined to give it one more shot. And I told the people around me that this last meet was going to be my last meet. And the people at the meet knew. I didn't say anything publicly. But the people at the meet knew it was my last meet. My first attempt, I just went for broke. I went for the world record on my first attempt. And in powerlifting, when you start with the world record, or when you start with any weight, you can't lower the weight if you miss it. So I started with 1129. Went to bring it down, got halfway. My right hamstring cramped up. When your right leg cramps, the bar goes to the left. And there's no way I was going to get it. And I said, grab it. Came out the second attempt. I didn't get in proper position. My chest went flat, and the weight felt, okay, I know, it felt heavy, okay? It should feel heavy, but it felt really heavy.
It's 1129, man. This is a world record. This is big boy weight, Ronnie Coleman style. You know what I'm saying? Lightweight.
Yeah. So I yelled, grab it, just about the time it was ready to touch my chest. I knew there was no way I could press it up. And I sat there, and I'm going to be really honest with you. My spiritual life is really important to me. And I told God, I said, God, I'm going to tell you straight out, thank you. Thank you. Whether I make this lift or don't make this lift, I'm content. I'm just want to say thank you that you've allowed me to compete at something I love for 50 years. For something that I got 50 years of training at the highest level. I got an opportunity to push myself and to get to know myself through this week in, week out, battling, hurting, can't sleep at night, giving up my social life, giving up personal pleasures, everything I gave up to go and get there. And I went and I wanted God to know, thank you. Whether I was successful or not, I was okay. I was completely content. Now, well, after I said that to God, I said, now, God, if you got any tips, now's the time.
Yeah.
And instantly, I thought, move your hands out 1/8 of an inch. So that's good. And then bring the bar down slightly faster, slightly. And I'm sure all the people that were in there watching the meet expected, miss number 21, and I brought that bar down and I thought, okay, I'm in pretty good position. I didn't think I was in great position. I didn't feel like I was at my strongest going in the meet, but I felt pretty good. And when the official yelled press, because you got to pause, he said press, the weight came up so fast, it startled me. It was, I was like, what just happened? And I'm like going, I had a meet before where my spotter grabbed the bar prematurely and put it in the rack, and I was all confused. And I'm like, oh, he better not have grabbed that bar this time, and because it just shot right up. And then they held me extra long because it was the all-time world record. And then he said, rack it. And then I went crazy. I went and celebrated like a madman. I was so thankful.
Oh, yeah.
But to this day, I never call it my lift. I call it the lift because of the fact that I felt like God and all these people who invested in my life over the last 50 years, hey, they're part of it. I wouldn't even sniff that kind of thing if I hadn't had all these people who invested in my life to help me get there. And so now my dream is to take that 50 years that I invested into it and reflect on it and be able to share with individuals who don't have 50 years to invest in trying to set the all-time world record.
Yeah, that's a lot of insight. That's a lot of sacrifice and dedication. Leading up to smashing this world record, right? Like what was your training like? What kind of rep scheme were you doing?
Well, okay. I bench in what they call equip lifting, where you wear a bench press shirt. It's a special shirt
Okay,
to help you lift.
understand.
It makes the lift far more complicated, which I enjoy. All right. So what I did was I simplified my programming where I minimized the amount of exercises that I did to where I only did the exercises that I got the biggest bang for the buck. The bench press is super sensitive to energy consumption. So if you're wasting energy doing something or confusing the motor pattern to where the muscles don't contract correctly, then it's like sort of like we use the word train, but what about training your dog? Are you training your dog to sit or sick them? You know what I'm saying? So I want that muscle. I want that muscle to sick them. So when it contracts, boom, it's trained to know how to react under that stress to be able to exhibit far more strength than what I'm capable of. Again, I'm not the strongest man in the world. I'll never claim to be. I just have lifted more than any man has ever lifted in history. And there's a difference.
That's got to feel good to say that, though.
After 50 years, it does feel good.
Yeah. How you're in your what you did this when you were 63,
62.
right?
62 years old.
Yeah. So that gives me hope because I wanna maintain strength into my later years as well. Like I'll never stop lifting just because of that. Like there really isn't. People, guys like you, women like you are super important because like a lot of people just phone it in,
Mm-hmm.
after their 30s. Just shit. Sometimes even their 20s, they just stop working out, and then they just let all of this potential go to waste. And you are proof, right? If you stay dedicated to your goals and you continue on that path of fitness, you're going to be in good shape. You're going to be strong. You're stronger than, you can you bench more than me, man. My best bench was 315. That's it. Benching. I try not to bench because I'm just afraid I'll mess up my shoulder. I do a lot of push-ups and like dumbbell stuff, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, it is tempting. Bench is like, it's one of those lifts, right? That, that's the first thing anyone asks you. Like if they don't, how much do you bench? How much? And you'd be like, well, I bench 1129.8 pounds on a good day.
The key is consistency. Never miss a workout. All right. And then one of the main things I do is if I'm capable of doing the weight 10 times, I'll only do it 5 or 6. All right.
Okay.
Because I'm training the nervous system. When you want to be fast, I used to be a track coach, so that's why I always could relate everything to speed training. But if I want to be fast, I would never go and take a kid out and make him do super long sprints because after a while, he certainly isn't going to be running very fast. Okay. And the
Mm-hmm.
training effect isn't the first 60 meters or whatever yards, it's the last. And so when you go and do it 10 times with a weight that I would stop at 6, your last 3 are awfully slow, too slow. Okay. And what I do is I stop before that so that I'm still training the nervous system so that I can exhibit speed and power.
Okay. So you're
Okay.
when you're in training for this, are you always using the shirt to bench, or are you doing some of it free?
No, I do. I do a lot of raw training,
Okay.
and what I do. Okay, people ask me how much I can bench raw all the time, and
Yeah.
okay, what I try to explain to them is this: at one point in time, when I was at the University of Washington, I got really good at weighted dips. Okay, I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to see how much I could do, so I got up to 8 45-pound plates for 6
Jeez.
reps. All right.
Oh my God.
Now, that was great, but it didn't make my bench go up at all. I just got really good at weighted dips. The same thing could be true on your raw bench. If you go and push your raw bench to be too high, then it's taking energy away from the shirt and it doesn't always transfer to the shirt. And that's all I care about is how much can I bench in the shirt. And so what I've had to do is I've had to reduce my raw max down 100 pounds so that I can move the bar in just the right technique, in just the right speed to make sure that it transfers to the shirt and um, I don't waste it. I'm not wasting energy so that when I go in the shirt, um, it's there for me and I can have a great workout. Otherwise,
I'm.
we're all tempted. I'm tempted, just like everybody else. I want to see,
Oh
I want to
yeah.
see how much I can do. But you know what? I learned after a while. I said, wait, I could either do it today in the gym, this raw bench, or I could save it and put up the biggest bench in history. To me, that
That's
was more
that's
more fun.
100%. I'm still blown away that you were able to do 360 pounds off of dips, like with 840. That's insane to me.
That was
That's
pretty crazy.
insane. And it's
Yeah.
also, yeah, that's fucking crazy, dude. That's so crazy. Do you have a video of this?
Yeah.
I'll have to go to your Instagram and
No,
like,
man, no, I wish we
oh,
had cell phones back then. I would have loved to got the video of that one. Uh,
oh,
but
you
yeah,
would be, yeah,
yeah,
that's
that,
that's insane. So you're doing and then how another question I have, how did you figure out like you needed to reduce your raw bench by 100 pounds in order to um how'd you figure out that reducing your raw bench would translate to more strength in the shirt? Like, was this just something that you were playing around with and you kind of figured out, or is there like actual like science behind this by chance?
No, there's no science. No one, there's no one to really lean on for that. It's from failure,
Yeah.
through the times I tried it and I failed over and over again. And I went, wait a minute, this isn't working. So I had to go and figure it out. I keep notes of everything that I do, every workout I do. I have notes on it so that I can look back and I can reflect on what worked, what didn't work, what exercise is contributing to me being able to do a different exercise more appropriately, and then feeding off of those exercises.
That's okay. So, and then in terms of reps, are you doing like 3x3s, or is it generally like a 5x5?
I do a lot of 5x5, and I tell people out there all the time that if you had to pick one type of workout to do 5x5. It's phenomenal. It's better than probably 98% of all routines. I'm doing 5x5 right now. But a lot of my guys love going 5x5. And the other thing is in the world of lifting, I know it's almost heresy to say this, all right? Because everybody says you have to have all this variety, okay? And I kind of found out that no, you don't. You don't have to have as much variety as you think you do. The Bulgarians back in the 80s dominated the world of weightlifting. Dominated. Okay. Now everybody said, well, they're on drugs. Well, so was every other country. So let's eliminate that from the equation. Okay. But
Yeah.
they went and all they did was train 5 exercises. That's all they did. They did, clean, snatch, push, jerk, squat, probably front squat. And that's it. They didn't train anything else, but they got really, really, really good at those lifts. And so what I did is I took that approach on my exercise selection. I took the former Soviet Union's approach on my weight selection and the tempo of the bar, and then I took Louis Simmons from Westside and implemented some of
West
his
Side.
ideas. Yeah.
Are
So
you connected with him by chance?
I was in the movie.
Shit, you were in West Side Barbell. Man, this is dude. This is the second time this happened to me. I just I did an interview with Dr. Sarah Seeger, and she's like, I was in Ancient Aliens, and I was like, shit, I knew, dude. I knew that. Were you in Ohio at that time? Or did you just fly up there to train?
I just go up there once in a while to go train with Louis and just hang out and learn. Yeah. I'm in a lot of his books. My mentor is been credited with a lot of the ideas. The whole bands that everybody uses. My mentor told Louis about the bands.
Oh my goodness.
The weight releases. Have you ever heard of weight release?
No, I can't say that I have. I probably have. I would need to. I'm gonna pull them up.
They hook on the bar, and then you can come down with more weight, and then just as you touch your chest, the weight comes off, and then you push up the lighter weight. And my mentor saw the Russians using that for Olympic lifting, and he said, man, we could redesign this thing and make it even better for the bench press and squat. So he redesigned it, and then an acquaintance, took the idea, patented it, and took credit for it. So he never gave us any credit for it, nothing. So I refused to do an article about it or anything because I get dirty. But we've been very massively involved with Louis and Westside, and what Louis contributed to the world of strength training has been amazing. And it's why I'm opening up and sharing, because because Louis did it, and I'm like, hey, I'm 62. I've done what I need to do. Now it's time for me to share all this information.
Yeah, I love that community. I got into weightlifting when I was in the 8th grade, and it's not like I'm not huge or anything. I think that I'm a decently sized human, right? And I was taught
Hmm.
by this old guy named Rex Rice. Shout out to Rex Rice. And I walked in the gym. He's like, "What it is, man? We're gonna get strong today." And I mean, he had us on all the like pretty much Soviet bloc training. We were doing bench, power clean, front squat, snatch. We did some clean and jerks, right? All in the 8th grade, and that the foundation that built into me as a young man, and going through the I don't power clean anymore though. I hate that lift, but it's good for you. But um it really deeply positively affected my life,
Hmm.
and just knowing how to lift and not being intimidated by a weight room. And I think that that's a big deterrent for people. It's like, I mean, because I walk into public gyms, and you'd see people that just have no freaking clue what they're doing. But yeah, it's funny. I love that. I don't know how I missed that. That's on me. But I think that's so cool that you're right in there with the greats. I mean, obviously, but it's it's super cool. I gotta get Louie on the show. Well, maybe I'll have you both on. We could talk
Oh
shop.
my
That'd be
gosh,
fantastic. But
man, good luck. I don't know. Louis doesn't do a whole lot of these things.
no, he's an interesting cat. I mean, but that whole gym. Were you ever in the gym when he was like giving those? Because a lot of the lifters, the huge guys, right? They worked out for free, and I mean, I watched all the kind of the underground footage of him giving him speeches and just like really getting him like it was about more than West Side was about more than lifting, right? It was a lifestyle, it was a philosophy. And when you get to that elite level where you are, that's what it's about. It's so much more than that. And
Yeah.
the gym, you're never gonna be disappointed on days that you go to the gym, right? Like it always gives back to you. I look at it like a garden. Like if you take care of it and you continue to nurture that it'll feed you. It'll feed your soul. So, um, yeah, that's
I
I'm
absolutely
sorry.
agree that the environment is the key. If you go to West Side and expect to see shiny new bars and clean equipment and all the plates picked up, ain't gonna happen. All right, the dust in that place is like inches thick. Okay, um, it's you gotta work your agilities just to walk through the weight room because plates are everywhere. But the attitude is, we're going to break you. We're going to try to kill you, especially back in the day. Brandon Lilly, who now works for us at Sornex, he was at Westside, trained there for an extensive long while. And Brandon came and watched me train with my guys. And he was just like, oh my gosh, you guys make me sick. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, you're actually encouraging each other. You want to see each other be successful. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to, at the same time, I want to see him go up 100 pounds, but then I still want to beat him. And he goes, man, not us, man. At Westside, we're trying to hurt each other, man. Our goal was to get the guy hurt so we didn't have to compete against him anymore. I'm like, holy smokes, man. And they would pick stuff that just hurt each other. It made no sense at all to do some of the stuff that they did. But they got
Yeah.
strong because of the attitude in there. And the guys that I'm training with now, the thing that changes you is the fact that it's like when Roger Bannister broke the 4 minute mile and they see
Mm-hmm.
me, they know who I am, and all of a sudden they see me do 11:29. Then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I could get 1,000, you know? A trick in the weight room, the strength coaches figured out a long time ago. My mentor did this. When I first got to Liberty, The biggest dumbbell we had was 65-pound dumbbells. Well, nobody touched the 65-pound dumbbells because they were the heavy dumbbells. Well, then we got 80-pound dumbbells. Well, then everybody did the 65s, but they wouldn't touch the 80s. Well, then we got 100s. All right. You know how it's going to work. So then we ordered new dumbbells, and we got dumbbells up to 180 pounds. And I asked Dave Williams, I said, why'd you get 180-pound dumbbells? He goes, because I want them to use the 150s. And that's how people are. People are, you're talking about college athletes. Guys are scholarship athletes, and they're still timid and not, they're like, well, that's the heavy one. Based on what? Based on what? What tells you that's the heavy one? I mean, heavy's a relative term. So don't sit there and be limited based off of some number. All right? Step out there, compete, enjoy grabbing the big ones and see what you can do with them, as long as you can do it safely. I'm not telling anybody to go do something that's not safe, but you gotta want to go. Anytime we used to get a new piece of equipment, I wanted to see how much weight I could put on it. I wanted to see what it would take to break the machine, because I just love to load the weight up. It's just who you are. But then you get the other guys who, I won't tell you what school it was at, but I had the women's golf coach. She's on the reverse hyper, and she's got two 45-pound plates on each side. Well, one of the defensive linemen came up and wanted to use the machine after her, and he goes to start taking the weight. No, he was doing it, and then he started taking the weight off of her, and she looked at him and said, "I'm sorry, son. I was actually going to put more weight on the machine." And I knew, I helped coach her, and I knew that was going to happen. And I'm just standing there going, "Oh my gosh, I wish I had a camcorder right now." Because this great kid, very competitive guy, but it was just such a classic example of, this is what I'm comfortable with. I don't really feel like going out of my comfort zone. I just want to get through this today. And when you take that mentality, you're never going to know what you're capable of doing. Get out of your comfort zone. Go ahead and hurt. Pain is just a feeling. That's all it is. It's just a feeling.
Weakness leaving the body.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. Yeah.
Yeah. I do have a question for you. Like, on days when you're not feeling lifting, what do you do? How do you get over that? How do you combat that?
Oh, you mean those 363 days out of the year? Other than the 2 days I didn't. I tell people, you know what? If you had a bad day in the weight room, they're like, yeah. I said, I've had a bad decade. Okay. So don't, from 49 to 59, I just thought, I'm too old. I'm never going to go and get any better. I've hit the top. But you know what? The discipline of what you do day in, day out is going to take you through that and get you to where you could be successful. Now, if I go into a workout and I go, man, it's just not there today, what I do is I take, I got this from a great lifter back from the 80s, Mike Bridges. And Mike would take his third warm up and he would do it for 3 sets of 3. And by doing it for 3 sets of 3, by the third set, normally he felt like doing it. I've done it for as many as 6 sets of 3, to where I felt good. And then I went to work out and had a fabulous workout. So the other thing is, don't ever determine how you feel, if you want to be a strength athlete, on how you feel lifting light weights, because you don't really care about being good at lifting light weights. So some days light weights feel horrible. That's all right. Get warmed up, keep loading the bar, and watch what's going to happen. All right, because you might surprise yourself.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely from personal experience, some days when I haven't felt great or didn't want to be there, I end up having like a fantastic workout. And, and the endorphins are kicking in, and you're just like, man, that was awesome. So glad I went today. So yeah. I definitely relate. But I mean, I want to kind of you had a bad decade. Like that is crazy to me because I feel, I mean, I win. I think I win probably. I'm a very blessed individual, and I think that I win quite often. And the having a bad decade, and we've had all sorts of guests on this podcast, but I don't think I've had anyone that's had a bad decade of a pursuit like that. To me, it screams perseverance and patience, right? I think that I wrote a piece on my website just about patience and how certain people give up on their dreams far too soon because maybe they did it for a year. Shit, I wrote every day down my diet and my exercise for 75 days straight. And I just stopped writing, right? Like where would that blog be, that whatever, if I would have continued writing? We'll never know, right? I stopped, but
Mhm.
you answered that question, right? Like you did this, you lifted weights and pursued a goal, I mean, for 50 years, but you had 10 bad years and you still stuck with it. And I need to hear, I love hearing stuff like that because I need more of that in my life, right? Because when something that I that I encounter in my life might be a small obstacle that to me at the moment, in the present moment, it seems massive, but really I can now reflect back to this story that you told me. I had a bad decade, right? So this deal that you're trying to close, Rick, or like you're trying to get sponsors or whatever, like, and you're not getting them now. So what? You've been doing this seriously for like a year, right? I did 10. You got 9 more to go. And then maybe 11, but don't give up. Like I need to hear stuff like that. And I want more stuff like that to be out in our society. That's very important. It's very inspiring and it's incredible the amount of discipline that you would have. Like how much doubt, how did you stop the doubt in your mind to keep going through, like to keep going, to keep showing up?
I did 804, hit an all-time lifetime PR at 49 years of age. And it went up pretty darn good, And I had a great training partner by the name of a guy named Mike Gotzel. And he really pushed me, all right? And so he had been a football player, finished playing, did a GA with the football staff. So he was able to train with me. When he left, all of a sudden I didn't have that environment. Plus, I was working about 60 to 70 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. Yeah. No time off. You just lived in that weight room all day long, trying to help that football program go from FCS to FBS,
Mm-hmm.
And so you're burning the candle at both ends. I'm developing this sleep disorder that I have, and but you still keep thinking, if I put this thing together correctly, I still got a chance. And I came so close to getting 800 again. In my mid 50s. I mean, within an inch of doing it in a competition, and just couldn't get it. And I just kept enjoying the process of learning of what it's going to take to be successful. See, the great thing about lifting weights is this. Let's say your pursuit is to lift 300 pounds. 300 pounds doesn't change. 300 pounds is 300 pounds today. It's 300 pounds tomorrow. And 300 pounds never has a bad day or a good day. When you come in here and you go to compete against 300 pounds and it beats you, you're the person who has to go look at yourself in the mirror and go, what do I have to do? What do I have to do to compete against this weight, to be able to beat this weight the next time I step up there? Because it's not going to change. So you got to look at yourself and go, okay, here's what I got to change. You change those things in your life, and then all of a sudden you come back 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is, and you get it. Who got better? I got better.
You did. Yeah.
I not only physically, but mentally and more disciplined in my life. So over the years, you become more and more disciplined. When I worked with Coach James at the University of Washington, his whole philosophy was we're not going to make as many mistakes as our opponents were. He was so thorough in his preparation; it was amazing. And of course, when you get around someone like that, and you may not know this, but he had two guys that were his GAs and assistants, a guy named Urban Meyer and Nick Saban.
Oh,
So
geez.
yeah. People, not everybody knows that, but he was a legend, and I picked up on that, to see his attention to detail, and I started going, wait a minute, if I apply this, then I don't have to be the strongest man in the world. I just have to lift more than everybody else does, and people will think I am, and that's what my approach was, and so when when I got to be 59, Liberty they didn't keep their word, but anyway, they let me go. They weren't supposed to, but anyway, that's a whole nother subject. And it gave me time to train. I got picked up with Sornex Equipment Company, and so I don't sell equipment. All I do is I'm an ambassador,
Yeah,
so to
brand
speak, for the
ambassador.
company.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I go visit college and NFL strength coaches, and I just hang out with them and just say, hey, what can I do to help you guys? It's a great job. I don't sell anything. I just show up and spend time with these guys, and I love it. But it gives me time to train. It gives me time and energy to recover. And so then all of a sudden, boom. Plus, Thorne Supplements is hooked up with Sornex, so they give us all the supplements that we want. So here I am. I'm getting all the supplements I need. I get all the recovery, the time to work out, to get the workouts that I need, and all of a sudden, the 10 years that I invested that were struggling, all right, where it wasn't getting anywhere, it doesn't seem like I was getting anywhere. All of a sudden, that foundation took me to the next level.
Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. Um, Thank you for sharing that. What supplements are you using? You said it's Thorn, correct? Those
Thorn
those
supplement,
are
yes,
those are the best ones because they're boy. I
they
think
are.
they're all the studies that they John, I need help here. They use them during clinical trials. It's not coming to me, so pull that up. But I don't know. They're the best supplements. But yeah, what's your supplementation look like?
Well, I take they have a multiple vitamin. Of course, I take that. I take a
Mm-hmm.
minerals. I take the melatonin. Let's see what else I take. The vitamin D. They're protein. They have two types of protein. One for just a regular protein that you can take before the workout. I take protein before the workout, and I take protein after the workout. One tip that I would like to share is that I did research and found that at the age of 60, that the body, they said, needs twice as much protein as when you're 30. And I'm like, well, that doesn't
Hmm.
make a lot of sense. Why? And I know that's not really necessarily good for me to take that much protein in through supplementation. And so I started researching and figured out that what happens is, as you get older, your digestive enzymes drop off, and your ability to digest your food drops off. It isn't as good. So that's why they said you'd have to take the research said you had to take twice as much protein. So if I take a digestive enzyme with my protein, then all of a sudden I'm able to utilize that protein a lot more effectively, like I was a young man. So, but I
Hmm.
take that. I take a lot of collagen. I'm a big fan of Knox Gelatin. I could go on and on and on about that and how much that
What
helps
is
you.
what is this?
Okay. All right. I got to the point where I couldn't even bench 100 pounds a few years ago. And a guy I coach who is a pharmacist said, Bill, we've been having some luck with people trying Knox Gelatin, Knox XS. Now I got to contact this company because I sell a ton of this stuff, and I end up having to buy it myself, and I should be getting it for free as much as I sell. But I take a teaspoon of heaping teaspoon of Knox gelatin and krill oil. And what that does is it lubricates the joints. My wife's best friend she came out here to Virginia to spend some time with us, and she was telling us that she had knee surgery scheduled for 3 weeks after she left. It was going back to Washington, and I said, you should try this instead of having a surgery. Just try this, and you still can have your surgery, but just try it. I said, see if it helps you. A week later, she called back and she said, I canceled the surgery. Damn, I don't need it. I'm hearing people all the time talking about how they can't move their joints. Their joints hurt so bad. Instantly, within 3 days, changes who you are. Now, here's how you know when a supplement works. Is when you quit taking it. And 3 days later, you're like, I can't move. The other thing we found was that we were recovering from soft tissue injuries faster. And all of a sudden we realized, we realized, what are we doing when we're working out? We're creating micro tears. And if we took it, we'd actually could recover faster from the workouts. Well, that research came out and proved it absolutely to be true. So, you go through the Walmart Jello section, and there's the secret supplement.
There, I have Knox gelatin. I'm pulling it up right now. It's in that orange thing, unflavored. Yep. You just put it in your coffee, or do you eat it dry? Or John, go ahead and pop in here.
So your question about Thorne, according to their website, they are CGMP, which is current good manufacturing manufacturing processes, which is a standard set by the US FDA. They're NSF certified, and they are certified for Australia's Therapeutic Goods Administration. So it's like seems pretty super duper legit.
No, they're super legit, dude. They're super legit, and I take a ton of supplements. I don't take them yet, but I think that at some point I'll make the switch. I'm cheap. I just get everything from a multitude. I try and stay away from anything I try and buy generally domestically or from Canada, but but anyway, sorry, back to you. Do you just take the gelatin? Do you just spoonful it, or you put it in your coffee, or how do you do this?
I mix it with just like room temperature water, and just stir it up in the water, and then take it down like that. Otherwise, if you put it in really cold water, it doesn't really dissolve very well. It might dissolve better in hot water, but I don't know how long it's going to last if it's in hot water. But there's no flavor to it. But
yeah, because I take in my coffee, I put MCT oil, turmeric, and collagen in the turmeric. Really, I found has definitely alleviated some of the aches and pains that I get from jujitsu, which is like jujitsu is kind of my anchor in my life, right? It's my high motivation for cardiovascular health, because I'm chubby and I'm getting strangled and in all sorts of bad positions. So it keeps me inspired to run. And then I've always lifted weights. So, but I've just added some of this. I'm buying it right now. Thanks, Amazon.
I just ordered a few nights ago. So
yeah. And this is it. It's in the orange, the orange thing. Yep. Okay. That's super cool. Yeah. I've got 2 pounds coming. So I can't wait to try this out, man.
Yeah. It's miracle worker. It's amazing how some of the most simple things are out there. I keep walking through the grocery store wondering, did I just walk by something that could change my life? You know?
Oh wow, yeah, yeah. Do you use CBD rubs or anything like that on any joints or anything like that?
No, I've tried it on my legs because I have severe restless leg, and I tried it and
Yeah,
it didn't help.
yeah. What is going on with? I don't know anything about restless leg syndrome. Like that's just it's where your legs are always moving. Like is there something that can be done about this, or is it just
Well, let me
I
tell you,
educate
I
me.
don't feel bad because I've seen my fifth doctor and they don't seem to know either. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't have just where I twitch, okay? And I don't just twitch when I go to bed. We're talking about like convulsions through the day.
Oh.
Yeah. Um, Out of control. To the point where if I'm driving, I got to pull over. I can't drive. Um, Yeah, it's beyond bad. And that's what my wife was just like. Her and I talked, and she's just like, you've got to get this under control because I don't sleep. I don't sleep at night. I just twitch all night long, hurts, aches, and I about wear out my Theragun. I use that thing all night long. I'll have to do the treadmill, go for walks in the middle of the night, hot showers. Well, I got a whole routine that I've had to do, and we're hoping a change of diet. Since I retired from lifting, it's only been 3.5 weeks or something like that. And I've already lost 32 pounds. So
Really?
yeah, yeah. Well, I was force feeding myself to get my body weight as big as, round is a shape, so
Mhm.
it's just not the shape everybody wants to be in. But for bench pressing, it works really well. So I try to get as big as possible. And to do that, you're eating just about everything possible that you can eat. And at 62, that's just not healthy for you to be doing that kind of thing.
No.
And
No.
the way my body works, the leverages on how it works, I'm just a lot stronger when I weigh 325, 330. And now I'm
Mhm.
dropping down uh, where I'm in the 290s now. And I'm
Nice.
planning on dropping another 40 pounds eventually.
Are you just gonna
The
shred
first,
up?
yeah,
Are you gonna get
I'm
a
gonna
six
look the
pack?
part. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. I love
yeah,
it. I'll
yeah.
I'll race you to it. I'll race you to it. I'll race you to the six pack. How about that? We'll have a little competition.
I've
Uh,
lost 80 pounds before, and people go, how can you do that? And I'm like, let's get it straight, okay? A lot of people have lost 80 pounds. Nobody's ever benched 1129, okay? That's hard, all right? That's
No, it's great. That's great. What when you were training, like when you were ramping up to this goal, this world record, how much would you eat? How many meals like a day were you eating?
if I could tolerate getting food in me, I ate. That's how bad it was. I mean, I tried
Just
not to eat too much junk, but at some point in times, you got to grab what you can grab, and you just eat what you can eat. And especially when you're on the road, as much as I was, but now it's like because there's times where let's say we're visiting family, and they say, "Yeah, we're going to eat it too." I'm like, I can't wait till 2. So I always had to pack food with me wherever I went because I'm like, I have to get food in me. I have to get these calories. I can't go an extended period of time without the food, or otherwise I'm going to lose a week's worth of training or whatever.
dude,
So,
that's so crazy.
yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
not definitely not in my wheelhouse. I would love that. I feel like it would be fun. That's what I mean. Ronnie Coleman, a lot of the builders will say the eating was the most difficult part because they're just constantly mowing down on food, and But now I'm just trying to get a 6-pack. This has been my goal forever. And I'm like, don't eat that much. I intermittent fast and I eat, pretty healthy, and I'm running, and that's nice. What kind of diet are you thinking about getting onto? And also the second part, is this because of the RLS that you're going to get on this diet?
I'm hoping that it would help. Yes. So far, I've been moving towards a little more keto, trying to see
Mm-hmm.
cutting out the carbs in my diet, and it seems like it's had a great effect on it so far. Um, what I did when I lost weight before, I found that I was doing tons of cardio
Mm-hmm.
and just hardly eating anything, and I still was having
Mm-hmm.
trouble losing the weight. And it came to me that all of a sudden I realized it had to do more than just the calories that you're eating. It has to do a little bit more hormonal than what we thought. And so what I
Mm-hmm.
did was, it was pretty simple. Just didn't eat carbs and fat in the same meal. Simple. I ate every 2.5 hours, ate about as much as I could eat, but I still continued to lose weight during when I ate like that. So it's
Yeah.
difficult because it's hard to find foods that don't have, carbs and fat in the same meal. But
Yeah.
uh,
Could you give an
what
example of a meal like that?
like I would have just your salad. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
have a salad, but you can't have any kind of dressing that has fat in it. So you get your
So just
salad with chicken, grilled chicken
Yep,
on it.
like a vinaigrette. You do like a vinaigrette or something like that on there.
Yes.
I do like olive oil and salt, but
Yeah.
that has
Yes.
fat, so
Yeah.
that's nixed.
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah. I would, there were times I would still do it, and I found that as long as I was trying to be as close as possible, I didn't have to
Mm-hmm.
be super strict about it, but I was pretty strict about it, and I never had a cheat day. I don't, these people who tell me they got to have a cheat day. Um, I don't know enough about it having a cheat day to be able to say when I need to have a cheat day, but I found that my cheat days. Um, just weren't as frequent as other people. But when I did, literally seriously every 6 months, it did create. My body turned into a furnace. But I didn't do it as often as people say, like every week or every month. I just the discipline is easy for me.
Yeah.
It's not
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You have 50 years of practice. So yes, it's definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And when you say furnace, I'm assuming you're talking, because there's this. I tried this. It's called. Oh boy, it's like a reverse keto type thing. The books. DeMarco, look up. It's called. I think it's called Carb Night. Look up the
hard.
book. So you're keto, like strict keto for like 6 days, and then like after a workout at like noon, you just carb load for the whole week, and it's glory. I ate whatever I wanted. You could drop a lot of weight doing that too, but my problem is I'm not as disciplined as you, and carb a day generally turned into like days 3, 4, and 5. It's not when you get ice cream in the house, dog. It's
Hey,
hard to. It's
yeah.
yeah.
Don't want to let that stuff go to waste, down, do you?
Yeah, exactly. Even though it's frozen, the lies we tell ourselves. But no, I'm very, very, very similar to you in that regard. I don't like, if I'm on a diet, I just want to be on that diet. Like,
Yeah,
and you know,
it's easier for me to do it that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to be respectful of your time. I appreciate you coming on this podcast and sharing. And I'm going to have you on again. Like this is incredible. I'm sure I'm going to be picking your brain again. I've got your contact number. So oh boy, no, I'm just kidding. But we'll keep in contact. And it was great to just sit down and chat with you. Tell folks where they can find you, your Instagram, anything you want to shout out.
My Instagram's master_strength_, and that's about it. I do Facebook too, but I'm about hit the limit on that. So I'm coming up to 5,000 friends on that one. So I got to be a little careful. But the thing I'd like to encourage people is this: like we talked about, you're going to have bad days. Just don't quit. All right, you're going to fail, but you're not a failure until you refuse to get up and try again. Every time you fail, it's just an opportunity to learn and to take your game a step further. And that's how you have to approach it. You have to stay optimistic, because it's going to be bad days. And you're never going to feel like working out, okay? It's not always going to be there. But the discipline of doing it day in, day out is going to help you get to the point to where you'll have the opportunity that when you are ready, you're able to do something extraordinary.
I couldn't. That's a perfect way to close, man. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening.